Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give our praises to Yahweh, Bashim Yoshai, Bashim Kakodash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Peace and salutations unto the 144,000, you see, Brother Kyle, and others. Another lesson through the Spirit and power of Bashim Yoshai. Lord willing, this video will be short, quick, edifying. You know, as I have some time here, so why not do a lesson, right? So I'm just basically going into a distinction of the two-thirds per se and the elect. You know, I'm starting off here in 1 Peter 2 and 6, going down to the point in verse 9. So it says, wherefore also it is contained in the scripture, behold, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect, precious, and he that believeth on him shall not be confounded. Unto you, therefore, which believe he is precious, but unto them which be disobedient, the stone which the builders disallow, the same is made the head of the corner, and a stone of stumbling, and a rock of offense, even to them which stumble at the word, being disobedient, whereunto also they were appointed. And before we read verse 9, this is just to show you, because that cornerstone we know is Yahweh Shai, right? So just as I say, the builders, you know, who disannul that stone, you know, Yahweh Shai, they are the ones that disannul Yahweh Shai, you understand? But unknowing to them, he is the head cornerstone, you understand? He is that head cornerstone. So it's like, by them doing that, they thinking that, you know, they could get through. And it reminds me of the scripture in the scripture here, John 10. Pull it up real quick and sell up here for the noise. You know, on the road walking up here. Looking inside to work. Let me see. Yeah, John 10 and 1. It says, verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same as a thief and a robber. Right? So you see, and we know as we going on into the chapter, it tells you about, you know, Yahweh Shai being the door and whatnot. You understand? And he's the only way in. Right? So by these builders, you understand? These builders trying to get into the kingdom of heaven without Yahweh Shai. You understand? They is the same as a thief and a robber. You know, and we know it had Israelite camps who preach that nonsense. And look what's going on with them now. Right? Saying that Yahweh Shai, you don't need to worship Yahweh Shai, you can go straight to the Father. When the scripture clearly say that no man cometh unto the Father but through him, right? So that is the madness with it. You understand? So let's go back. And there's a couple other precepts that came to me, about two more. Oh, right. Firstly, one in Sirach 39. Yeah, on 24. It says, as his ways are plain unto the holy, so are the stumbling blocks unto the wicked. Right? So for us now, right, we understand the judgments of Yahweh Shai, you know. But for the wicked now, they will say, nah, that's too wicked. The Lord would never do that, or he should not do that. Or even as this wicked former Christian, now an atheist, woman who Elder Manatis Akbar always do videos on, you know. Why would I serve a God who do so much of that? Everybody blaming the devil when he's the one doing all the killing and this, that, and the other. You understand? She doesn't understand the judgments of the Lord. Right? So they stumble at that understanding. Right? Because if you really understand the wickedness of this world, or with the Lord's people itself, as we're gonna get into, you know, it's madness. You know, is level madness. You all deserve to get destroyed. You all deserve these judgments. You know? Especially the heathen too. Because Jacob is trying to save the so-called white man especially. You know? These other heathens on them too. And then you're thinking, well, you know, all should be well and good. But these same heathens is the one that hide any heritage and things from you. Again, especially so-called white man. You know? Let me go back here now. Right. Okay, right. So the other one that came to me... Shit. Which one now is, boy? Right. How that is go again, boy? I know what it is, but I forget how it is go. Offended in me. Right, this is Matthew 11 and 6, you see. Let me see. I read from 4, it says, yeah, which I answered and said unto them, go and show John again those things which ye do hear and see. The blind receive their sight, and the lame walk. The lepers are cleansed, the lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear. The dead are raised up, and the poor have the gospel preached to them. And blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me. Right? And the ones that are talking about who receive their sight and could walk and all these different things is the elect. Right? It's the elect. So it just goes to show you that what? The Lord have his chosen, and through his chosen is how we're gonna save his nation. You understand? His chosen nation. Despite how wicked it is right now, you know, he's gonna punish them, but they're gonna come back in their right mind. You understand? So the Lord still showing us mercy. You know, he's still showing us mercy. In despite of all what we're doing, even as a nation and the whole today, getting more and more wicked as the times go on. Place getting harder, more worse. You know, hyperinflation, all kind of thing, jig balling, you know. But they're balling to the government, as Isaiah 30 say, they're going out to Egypt for help, right? They think voting out this one and voting in our next person will help, but after all these years, they haven't realized yet that no matter who you're voting, vote out, the place going to remain the same because everybody following one agenda. And that's what Jake filter is up to, you know. But at the end of the day, you have to shy blind them. Because remember, once upon a time, we was in that same delusion too. And it wasn't clear for us to see, right? So, as the scripture says, blessed is he that isn't offended in me, right? So, we know, not being offended in Yahweh Shai, we able to wholeheartedly accept him, you know, and say, Tawada Yahweh Shai for that, you know? Because again, it's serious mercy, you know, and it's a gift too. As it's saying Ephesians 2:8, you know, where the Lord talk about he talk about, you know, it's a gift unto us, you know. Just a lot, yeah. So this is 1 Peter 2:9 now. It says, but ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should shew forth the praises of him who had called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. Right? And this is it. Now this scripture could go two ways too. You understand? As I say, we was going into the distinction between the tutors and the elect, but we also dealing with the nation on our whole too, and what we really mean to the Lord as well. You understand? Because as I was mentioning and going into the tutors and how they function and whatnot, the scripture is actually telling me about the nation on a whole and the elect, right? So it's like, as I say, we are a chosen generation, right? In this generation right now, the Lord chose. This is the generation here. We're gonna see the last end. You know, whether it be in the sense of you becoming a martyr or, you know, you actually live it out to see the end. But this is going to be the last generation, you know. But the Lord also say what? We are a holy nation, you know. We are a holy nation. We separate unto the Lord, right? Separate from the world, right? And let's prove that. We're probably about our 2 scripture and then we can lock it off. Because as I say, it ain't meant to be that long. Let me see here. Right. This here is Deuteronomy 32 and 8 to say, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. For the Lord's portion is his people, Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. Right? And that's it. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. So you see, we is the Lord's portion. You understand? We is the Lord's portion. We're not like these other nations. And that's the thing. Jake don't seem to realize that. We're not like these other nations. It's like they noticing it in every other aspect. Like in the sense of noticing we dominating the athletes, the sports world. You know, as World Cup going on right now. Right? Everybody into the World Cup and thing. And they don't know it's Jake dominating that. Right? Whether it be as the form of celebrities in the sense where you're dealing with acting and whatnot, Jake dominating that, music dominating that, right? Jake dominating all these things because why? The Lord, you know the line where Jake does use on a woman and say, wait boy, the Lord take your time and make you ill. You understand? The Lord, he can say it for us, you know, the Lord take your time and make us. Because wait, hey, it's so spiritual, because at the end of the day too, you know, we is the Lord's woman, so to speak. You understand? Remember, he's the husband man and we is the bride. So he take the time and make us. We were made a lot more special than the other nations. You understand? Remember, we were given the laws, statutes, and commandments and whatnot. You know? So that sets us apart. The scriptures say that you know, this is our wisdom in the sight of the other nations. How you feel these other nations adapt to, you know, a religious aspect? You know, it's because they adapt. They wanted to have what we have. They still want to have what we have, right? That's why they're trying to keep us in the dark while it is they doing their thing. You understand? They create their gods and all these different things. They create their rules, the religious rules and all these things to follow, because they want to have the rules, you know, to stay, you know, they state in something and they in this religion and this, that and the other, right? Everything that they prosper in, you know, is our power giving it to them, you know. Our power giving them that. Again, I job to go down, boy. Eh? I don't see. Yeah, so lucky about that. Yeah, as I was saying, actually, let me pull up the next scripture. Yeah, same Deuteronomy 14 and 2. Specifically, the use the same word as it used in the 2 Peter, right? Deuteronomy 14 and 2, it says, for thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy power, and the Lord hath chosen you to be a peculiar people unto himself above all the nations that are upon the earth, right? And we know the word peculiar means special, right? See, Lord, it's saying here that the Lord specifically chose us, right, to be a special people to him. You understand? Above all the nations on the earth, and that is the key part, above all the other nations. Jacob was trying to compare himself or put himself on the same level as a heathen. You understand? These other nations and them, they're prospering right now because of our wickedness, you know. If we was to rise up, you know, we know that time when I come because Yahushua had to do that. But you know what I mean? When Yahushua come back and we rise up as a nation, you know, you're going to see the difference. You're going to see the difference. These nations going to be under us, and it's said so in the curses. You know, the Lord say if we take heed to all his commandments, he will set us above the other nations. right? But we didn't do that, so what ended up happening is obviously what? We end up going to the bottom, and that's where we is right now. But you know, when Yahushua come back, we're going to be under that new covenant, right? So the laws now going to be within our inward parts, right? So when it's in our inward parts, we're not going to be capable of sinning. You understand? We keeping the laws going to be like it's going to be like breathing. You know, it's going to be second nature to us. We're not going to have any problems keeping the laws. They're not going to be like now, and we got to be thinking and saying, hey boy, today's the Sabbath. Yeah, so as I was saying, you know, the Lord now, let me just collect back my thoughts. Right? The Lord not gonna forsake us as a nation. As I mentioned earlier, you know, we have the Lord secure, you know, a 1/3, a remnant of his people to bring back his nation, because why? Again, we are the foundation of the world. Lord willing, are part of that number, as well as the sincere brothers and whatnot, you know. The foundation, the elect was there from since the foundation of the earth, you know. They were there with Yahushua, you know, creating stuff as well as with the angels, you know. So the Lord bringing it back. He was the one that gave us that blessing. He showed us that mercy, showed us that love, that kindness, you know. And He's just gonna give us it back when we under the new covenant, you know. So let me read our next one here. Deuteronomy 7:6, right? It says, "For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy power. The Lord thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth." So you see it again. It proves it just again, right? This is the fourth time, and number 4 is mercy too. Look at that. You understand? So the Lord saying here that what he chooses us to be a special people. So in this one now, it using the word special rather than peculiar. So if you didn't believe it before, you feel like a little lazy to say, boy, I didn't feel like searching up that word, nothing. You understand? Like, you've seen it here for yourself. It's all in the scriptures. You understand? And you're not supposed to feel lazy to search up any words or whatever it is, because, I mean, that's how you get the understanding. But you know how Jake is, you know, new listeners or whatever it is, they might just be listening and, you know, they might even want to take notes, or they may not want to switch up no words or whatever it is, because, you know, the first time listener, they may not believe right away, but nevertheless, so what I hear about Shimei Shadi wood right here, you know. This other one came to me in book of Amos, right? There's Amos 3:1. It says, "Hear this word that the Lord hath spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth, therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities." Right? So you see in here what the Lord saying, right? The Lord say he chose, he's the one that brought us out of the land of Egypt, right? We were the only nation, you understand, that when we went into captivity, the Lord freed us from it. You understand? Now, it must have some bug out there that would say, hey, but for instance, like when Esau was in slavery, right, under Jakes and whatnot, they would say the Lord freed them. You know, when he come out from the Caucasus Mountain, this, that, and the other, according to Revelation 20:7, I believe. You know, that was our intention, you know, for the plans of today to get executed. You understand? So the Lord didn't free them in the sense of, you know, yeah, all they're under a rule so long, and now come and do this thing because all this part of my people know. It's not so. The Lord had plans he need executed, and he created the wicked to be wicked. So he was released in order to do that. You understand? Because ultimately this whole thing is for us to learn wickedness, to appreciate righteousness. You know? Remember, it's just as how they like to confuse the Lord, right? They think the Lord all good in the sense where he will only do good, he wouldn't pass no judgments, anything, right? That's how the world thinks. But that's not how the Lord is, right? The Lord is a just God. You know, he say, hey, the scripture say a false balance is an abomination unto the Lord, right? So it's the same way if the Lord planning to make us kings and princesses and whatnot, right? is obviously we had to be able to judge and rule properly, or we go just know righteousness and don't know how it feels to be in the situation or truly understand, how it feels to be in oppression or being punished and all these different things. You understand? With these lessons here, they say experience is the best teacher, and that's factual. So with all these experience we gaining over the years, as hard as it is, remember our slavery time is just for a time. You understand? It might feel like forever, but it's just for a time. When the kingdom come, that's forever. We're gonna be immortal. These heathens and them is not gonna be immortal. They're gonna be dying. They're going to be living just like how they live now in the sense of the flesh, right? Because remember, our bodies had to change in order to be under the new covenant. Because the scripture call our body the chains of darkness. So if this body is the chains of darkness, right? Remember, it's subject to sin. The scripture said that, the creature is subject unto vanity, and vanity is the vexation of spirits, right? So it's materialistic things of the world. Right? That's why the Lord said we don't love nothing in this world. You understand? Because that is all your mind will be on. Right? But with the new body now, remember with our new body, it's not just your flesh changing. With the new body now, it's everything changing, your mind, everything. So with the new body, you're gonna be holy, you're gonna be righteous, an extraterrestrial body. We're gonna be able to keep the laws. That's why it's so easy. So I hope this lesson was edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh. Share it, and next time, shalom.